Last November, I normally don't use the term Hamas. I refer to the Islamic resistance. Last November, I declared, I said it, and I was bitterly criticized. I said that Israel set a trap for them. And they were blind and they couldn't see it. And they walked into the trap. Like 9/11, Israel was then able to benefit and profit from a trap which was set for them, and they walked into the trap. That weapons were leaving the United States and the Western world and going to Ukraine. Huge amounts of weapons and drones. And the CIA and the Israeli Mossad were able to siphon off some of those weapons and use Saudi Arabia to get the weapons into Gaza. Putin said the same thing, but he didn't use the term Saudi Arabia. But Putin said that the weapons which were going to Ukraine were being siphoned out. And the Islamic resistance was so innocent, did not know. They believed that these weapons and these drones were coming to them from their people, their supporters, when in fact it was coming from the CIA and the Mossad. And Netanyahu knew everything about it. So the government of Israel, at least the Prime Minister, knew that that attack was coming on the 7th of November. They knew it. And Egypt actually sent a message to them warning them, because Egypt was able to pick up the ground information that the attack was coming. So they knew the attack was coming. And they deliberately allowed the attack to take place. And more than 1,000 Israeli citizens were killed. Why did the government of Israel act in this despicable way? On Judgment Day, we get the evidence that I am speaking the truth. The evidence. The government of Israel wanted Hamas to launch the attack that they did, so that the government of Israel will then be able to profit, to exploit this event to their advantage. What did they have with their master plan? The master plan was, number one, to decimate Hamas, the Islamic resistance, decimate them. Number two, punish the people of Gaza to such an extent that they will eventually turn against Hamas, turn against their own people. Number three, destroy every building in Gaza and drive the people down to the south. And as you drive them down to the south, you destroy all buildings so there is no place to come back. And eventually, when you have them cornered in the south, either throw them into Sinai or force Egypt to accept them. And so you will get rid not only of Hamas, you'll get rid of all the Palestinians in Gaza. And Israel will be able to repopulate Gaza with their own people. Number two, not only is Hamas a thorn in the side of Israel, but also Hizbullah in Lebanon. So you must attack the Palestinians to such an extent that you will provoke Hizbullah to join the war. But that did not happen. And Hizbullah was sensible enough, while they will attack Israel, they will not launch a war. So in the event, since Hizbullah was not launching a war, Israel then launched a war on Hizbullah in order to decimate Hizbullah as a threat to Israel. And they have achieved a large measure of success on these two fronts already. Number 3, Israel's master plan was also to force Iran into the war, so that Israel could destroy Iran's nuclear plans and either remove the possibility that Iran could ever have nuclear weapons or delay for some indefinite period of time. While Israel has already succeeded and profited immensely in Gaza, while of course turning world opinion against them, but they don't care for world opinion. And Israel has already achieved substantial success in Lebanon. Israel has not achieved that success as yet in Iran. Israel was able to humiliate Iran by assassinating the head of Hamas in Tehran, humiliate Iran by assassinating the head of Hizbullah in Lebanon. And then Iran responded with a second missile attack on Israel. But Iran does not want war with Israel. And Israel so far has restrained herself from war with Iran. They will attack each other, yes, but a war will result in the collapse of the world oil economy. A war between Israel and Iran will result in the collapse of the world oil economy. Number 2, a war between Israel and Iran will immediately result in Iran becoming a nuclear power. And this is what the Western world wants to avoid. And so they have forced Israel to show restraint. But the master plan is the master plan. And Israel is not going to listen to the United States indefinitely. And so eventually it's just a matter of time, I believe. I hope I'm wrong, that Israel will attack Iran to try to destroy Iran's nuclear plans, to prevent Iran from becoming a nuclear power, because that is necessary for Pax Judaica to come into being.